Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's your boy G Bush back with another one. The Ultimate Browns, the fastest 30 minutes in all of sports. G Bush right with you again. We're ready to go, man. We got a great show planned for you today. As always, we get a little film work from DeShawn Watson, man. I love when DeShawn Watson does on the QB Unplugged. We got some stuff that we're going to show you. We got a little bit of a couple clips from the QB Unplugged with him and Quincy Avery. People are already talking about DeShawn Watson played horrible. They played horrible. Did he really play horrible? Let's go to the film work and show some of the good stuff that he did do, showing that he had some good spots, more than people would know that he played last year. We'll show some of the film work from that. Also, we hear from another talking head. We listen, now it's DeMarcus Spears from ESPN. He says DeShawn Watson's deal is the worst deal in all of football, the worst trade ever. Let's dive into the numbers a little bit and see if that's really factual. Cats be saying a lot of extra stuff, and then when you look at the numbers, it don't be looking too crazy. Let's get into that as well. But as always, the reason why you clicked on this video is because you saw the thumbnail. The thumbnail says the Cleveland Browns are drafting a receiver at 54. And I'm predicting and I'm prognosticating that the Cleveland Browns should take a receiver at 54. There's a lot of different reasons why they should take a receiver at 54. Before we get into my specifics, let's take a look at what we talked about today on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. This was a clip. Me, Jay Crawford, and Earl the Pearl arguing and talking about what we doing at 54. Earl the Pearl is under the assumption. He believes that Elijah Moore is a guy that's going to be a guy that's going to have a great year. Go out and check out that clip in the entire episode right there on YouTube. UCSS. This is Earl the Pearl talking with me and Jay about who they should draft, and I'm going to tell you why they should draft a receiver at 54. Take a look at this clip.
You heard what Kevin Stefanski said. He said we're going to be aggressive and in a big way. 640 yards, and they play 100 games. They play 86 games like the NBA, and he got 640 yards. No disrespect, so when my thing is, I'm looking at these receivers, and it's one of the best receiver classes of all time. You are going to get somebody to fall to you in the second round, and let's talk about these picks that's minimum.
What about Jerry Rice's kid?
I'll take him too.
His stock has risen.
I like him, but you said they got a third, a fifth, they got a couple of fives, right?
Yeah, I could see them moving a couple fives or a 5 and a 6.
Hey, they could. You know what? I'm hyperbole. I'm the Duke of New York. They can have every one of them 5th and 6th round picks. All of them. You want them? Take them.
And so, as you can see right there, I'm a firm believer that you have to take a receiver at pick number 54. When you look at what Elijah Moore has done, he was serviceable. I think everybody thinks that Elijah Moore, had a year that was something that other receivers at that position could replicate. You take a look at what Elijah Moore was able to bring to the table. We were told that he was going to have a playbook where he was going to run wildcat and reverses and all that good kind of stuff, and he was going to be the elite Swiss Army knife that was going to bring us all types of receptions and touchdowns, and he had a serviceable year at 640 yards. I think Elijah Moore, in an opportune position, should probably be a guy who you look to get when he was getting that many targets. He was supposed to get above 800, 900 yards. He had 640. A lot of those yards in that production came when Joe Flacco was quarterback. So for me, when I look at Elijah Moore, I look at a guy who does not have the catch radius, who does not have the run after catch that I thought he would have, being a receiver of his stature. I thought he was a little more quicker. I thought he was a little more shiftier than what I saw. I saw a receiver that was not explosive, and he's good for a fourth receiver, maybe a third receiver. But one of the things that I want to look at is guys like Puka Nacua. You take a look at what Puka Nacua was able to do for the Rams, and they had Cooper Kupp. But those are the type of the receivers that you want to get 12, 13, 1,400 yards. Those guys are available in the draft. Those guys are available. You just have to identify and get them. And I think that the Cleveland Browns would be doing themselves a disservice by not getting some of these receivers, the Keon Colemans of the world. He didn't run a blazing 40 time, but that's the type of receiver, a playmaker, a guy that's physical, going to go up and catch contested footballs. That's the kind of receiver I want. I want one of those guys. When you take a look at a Franklin out of Oregon, he has breakaway speed. I'm talking about he catch the ball, boom, he's out of here. I want that. I want a Malachi Corley. I want a guy like that who is a little bit of a Deebo Samuel guy, right? What about a Lad McConkey? What about these types of guy? You're going to have an Xavier Legette. I've been preaching on these podcasts and these airways for a long period of time. The Cleveland Browns have an opportunity to do something that they haven't done in a long time. That is to put a stamp on a guy that's not in the third round. We've seen what the third round gets you. We've seen with the Schwartz of the world, the David Bells of the world. That's a nice thought process. I want to see for once the Cleveland Browns jump up into that next echelon and get a receiver that can make some waves about themselves. I'll tell you what, you can get somebody that can turn into a multiple-time playmaker for you this season. You may not need him to be an every down guy, but all I need is about 5 or 6 plays a year from this guy. All I need is about 5 or 6 plays at different times. You see what Zay Flowers brought to the table. I'm not saying you're going to get that type of progression because he's their best receiver. But here's the thing. When you got Amari Cooper, when you got Jerry Jeudy, when you do got a guy like Elijah Moore who's a serviceable third or fourth receiver, what you're going to be able to do is get a rookie on one-on-one coverage and a guy that can get single coverage that may be on a safety, on a linebacker, or a third or fourth corner that can make you a play when you need a play. This is the opportunity. We've talked about the aggression. We talked about what DeShawn Watson wants to bring to the table and how he wants to play. We talked about that all off season. Why not give you DeShawn Watson another tool, another weapon, another guy that's going to get a chance to get a bite at the apple at the top tier? We know what the bottom tier guys are, the third, fourth rounders. We know what we've been able to do with that. Let's get it. Let's package some stuff up. We got 2 5s. You don't need all these draft picks in this draft. You got 2 5s, you got a couple of 6s. Get rid of them picks and get on up and get you one of these receivers. I've been talking about it and we've been preaching it. The number one opportunity for the Cleveland Browns to take that next step is at receiver, not defensive tackle. I've been reading the drafts. Come on now. I've been reading the drafts about the D tackles. You brought all of them back. You brought Harris back. Listen, you already got Tomlinson. We ain't even seen Siaki Ika yet. You drafted him in the third, fourth round. So you're gonna get another depth tackle. Come on now. That you only lost Jordan Elliott. I'm cool on what we got up front. You brought back Za'Darius Smith. You got Okoronkwo back over there. You got Alex Wright. You got everybody. What do you listen? Stop playing the games. Get you a receiver. Get another option. And if Amari Cooper is older, he does not have the production, or if Elijah Moore wants to walk in free agency, you still have Jerry Jeudy under contract. You still can see what you can do with Cedric Tillman, and you still got a guy that you drafted this year that could be potentially another number 2 or possibly number 1 receiver, given where you take him. So I think the no-brainer is taking a receiver at 54, less than a couple of days, when we get to the draft. We're under a week here for the draft. Make sure you're checking this out. We will have really Ultimate Browns. That second night when we will do a draft recap, we will have all of the recap stuff. Me and Earl the Pearl, we're efforting a couple other special guests. We might get to that, but you're going to have me and Earl the Pearl. Make sure you check out a Friday night. We might even have something Saturday to recap what's going on with the Cleveland Browns, give you an opportunity to opine and get in, and make sure you check us out. We will be doing the phone line, so if you want to get your opinion heard, we will drop the hotline for you guys. So go ahead. I'll give out the number, and you will drop the hotline for you guys as well to call out and give your opinion. With that being said, let's get to the first break. And when we come back, we're going to get into the misnomer. The DeShawn Watson conversation just be out of pocket. It's another guy who's told the deal is so terrible. The deal is the worst in history. Let's take a look at the numbers to see if the deal was that terrible. It's G. Bush here on the Ultimate Browns. It's playoff time in the NBA and the NHL. Baseball's in full swing, and FanDuel is your place to bet on every game. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150 win or lose. Bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks, all on one app that is safe, secure, and easy to use. What are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com/UCSS and make your first bet an automatic win. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Welcome back to the Ultimate Browns. Your boy G. Bush with you. The fastest 30 minutes in all the sports. So let's get to our second topic. You know what? People have been talking about the DeShawn Watson talking point and the deal being the worst of all time. They've been talking about it for days now. It's crazy that, every single day you turn it on, it's another guy talking about how bad the deal is. Now we got an opportunity to talk about it right now again. And it's courtesy of ESPN, and it's DeMarcus Spears. Check out what he had to say about the deal with DeShawn Watson.
This could go down as the worst trade in NFL history when you start thinking about him maybe not even playing enough for us to know if this actually worked out. And it's devastating for the Cleveland Browns because this team is really, really good. This defense was #1 in the league last year. They made the playoffs with Joe Flacco. Now imagine if DeShawn Watson was to get back to a semblance of what he was where he was with the Houston Texans, coupled with the things that surrounded him on this team. Amari Cooper offensively. Nick Chubb obviously suffered an injury, but if he came back healthy. As of right now, today, when it comes to the Cleveland Browns in this trade, it's an abject failure. And they are hopefully can get it corrected by his availability and his performing to what $230 million guaranteed should look like.
Yeah, that was once again courtesy of ESPN. DeMarcus Spears talking about the contract with DeShawn Watson. Well, let me, everybody got talking points, right? Let me see if let's figure this out right here. Let's see if this is really the abject failure that people want to talk about. Let's get right to it. Let me go ahead and pull this up here. Now, listen, we do this all the time. And one of the things that DeMarcus Spears is doing is called a talking point. They give you a list of things, highlights that you should know about the Cleveland Browns. And the first one that says contract, DeShawn Watson, horrible, worst pick of all time. And that's what you're going to talk about. Now, first of all, let's go ahead and mention this. It just goes to show you how good of a position the Cleveland Browns are in if you could make the playoffs with Joe Flacco. Let's talk about the fact that both of their tackles were out. Let's talk about all that. And you know this. We've been watching this the whole time. We understand that the roster is solid. We understand that you got the coach of the year twice in his tenure with the Cleveland Browns. And all they've been able to do is still, stack a roster that is able to withstand that and make the playoffs when you don't have that many people, including Nick Chubb, ready to play. 4 or 5 quarterbacks playing. Now let's take a look at this contract that everybody keeps talking about, the 230. I just wanted y'all to see this really quickly because we say this all the time about how terrible the contract is. Let's really look at it. Patrick Mahomes' total value of his contract is $450 million. He's worth every penny of that. Joe Burrow has $275 million contract, right? So, cool, boom. Justin Herbert got a $262 million contract. They were terrible last year. They were horrible. Some people would say, well, it was the coach. Well, okay, they get an opportunity to get a coach, but just so you know, Justin Herbert didn't make the playoffs. Y'all been anointing him since he got in the league. He didn't make the playoffs last year. Lamar Jackson, he's been an MVP in this league, $260 million. He's worth it. I'll take that. Josh Allen, for the most part, he's been a guy who's done his thing, $258 million, right? Done his thing. Jalen Hurts has been to a Super Bowl, played terrible last year. I wouldn't say played terrible, but they had a down year with the Philadelphia Eagles. He has $255 million. Kyler Murray been injured. He got $230 million, and they drafted him in top 5. Top 10. So you finally get down to DeShawn Watson at $230 million, which is the same almost as Kyler Murray. The thing they get held up on is the $230 million guaranteed. Let me ask you a question. Do you think Patrick Mahomes is going to finish his that whole contract? You think he's going to get cut? No. So that $450 is essentially guaranteed. Tell me a top 10 quarterback that didn't finish out his contract. It's a quarterback. It don't matter if you get hurt. The cap number is too crazy to even get rid of any top 10 quarterback with a list. Joe Burrow, he was hurt last year. You think they're cutting Joe Burrow? So you can say it's only 146 million fully guaranteed, and the total guaranteed is 219 million. But just so you know, 275, he's going to get that. Tell me when he's not going, they're going to cut him. And the same goes for Herbert, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Kyler Murray. There is no world in which these guys are getting cut. So every contract is fully guaranteed. So DeShawn right now is what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's 8th on the list. So my thing is, when you talk about these contracts and what they're about, these guys at like, what is your alternative cost, right? What was the alternative? You bring back Baker or what? The fact that the matter that this man has played 11 games. He's played 11 games. You can say whatever you want to, but when you talk about abject failure, stop the games. It's an abject failure. Why don't they say the same thing about the 49ers and what they gave up to go get Trey Lance and used them for nothing? Let's talk about that. How many picks did they move to go get him? We never speak about that. That's because they found a quarterback that was in the 6th round, Brock Purdy, who was able to cover up for that, right? So when you had it. So the same could be said about Joe Flacco. Yeah, did it hurt that DeShawn Watson wasn't playing? No, because guess what? They still made the playoffs last year. They're going to get an opportunity to see him a full year this year, but let's not act like other teams have not given up all these other assets and been successful, and they forget about it. Yeah, when you go to the Super Bowl, you can afford to swing and miss on a pick or two. They just happen to do it in the top 3, and Trey Lance is that guy. So with that being said, listen, I get it. People say you want to see more from your quarterback. You want to see more from a guy like DeShawn Watson, but here's the truth. The truth is he doesn't have the worst contract. And the truth is we've seen other people give up picks as well, and they cover up for those picks. I believe DeShawn Watson is going to have the best roster he's ever had playing football. I think the Cleveland Browns got a dangerous team, and depending on what they do going into this draft, they can come out of that draft even more dangerous. With that being said, let's continue to keep it pushing. We're going to get back. We're going to get back to the rest of our conversation. And when we come back, we're going to get to some DeShawn Watson film work. I had an opportunity to check out this. Make sure you check out the QB Unplugged with Quincy Avery and DeShawn Watson. They got some really cool stuff, and I always love to see DeShawn Watson on the blackboard, on the chalkboard, talking football X's and O's, because that's what we really want to talk about here on the Ultimate Browns is X's and O's. He does a good job of breaking down some things that he did really well in the first game against Pittsburgh last year. We'll check that out. But before we do that, let me give you a little what's up from Monopoly Go. I've been told I'm a competitive person. You all know how I want to do it. I want the best shoes, I want the best gear, and I want the flyest stuff. Okay, well, you all know that by watching UCSS. We all do. And my competitive side is a big fan of Monopoly Go. I'm sure you've heard of it. It's been downloaded over 150 million times, and it's a great twist on Monopoly where you play on not one, but hundreds of Monopoly boards and crazy locations, building up amazing cities that bring you the big money. But the best part is messing with your friends. I could charge them rent on my iconic properties, just like classic Monopoly. But now I can also rob their vaults of riches for myself, and the leaderboards show me who has the biggest Monopoly tycoon. Guess what? It's me. But it's not only just my competitor side that loves it. You can team up with your friends and people all around the world in time tournaments to earn huge rewards. So get into the game and join your friends. Download Monopoly Go now, free on the App Store or Google Play. Welcome back to the Ultimate Browns. Your boy G Bush here. One more segment to go, but we got something really cool for you. DeShawn Watson is always on the blackboard. I like that. That's the best part I like about the QB Unplugged. And if you haven't done so, make sure you go out and check out the QB Unplugged. Make sure you go ahead and subscribe to that and check it out, because it's really really good information about what DeShawn Watson does and how he goes about diagnosing the game. This is a clip that shows him in his thought process in the first game against Pittsburgh last year that was on a national televised game. It was the game Nick Chubb got hurt. It was a tough game, and a lot of people assume that DeShawn Watson played horrible. He did have the strip sack later in the game, but I do think that there were some throws sprinkled in that were really some really dynamic throws. So DeShawn Watson goes over his thought process in a throw to Amari Cooper. Check this out. It's the QB Unplugged podcast with Quincy Avery and DeShawn Watson.
Are you thinking you're actually going to get this pressure right here?
I mean, I knew it was going to get some type of pressure, but they bluffing, especially 39. It's man across the board. So, I mean, we got it picked up because we got 6 for 6. And I guess they're doing a pressure where wherever the line, I guess the center slide, that backer opposite comes.
Kind of like what the Vikings used to do.
Yeah, exactly.
When they used to have 55 and 54, and they'd always be communicating.
They play off the center. Whichever way the center slide, the opposite one goes to keep the back in.
It's really tough to, communicate who's the mic. And when they're calling mics, and when you guys when we're looking at it and you call them mics, kind of just telling the line where to go,
pretty much,
how to handle that situation.
Exactly.
But these defenders are so smart. You're calling it. They're reading it. They know what to do. They understand it.
They watch film, watch tape. They understand protection. So they got to do their job to, it's playing chess. And their job is to keep the back end so it's not another guy in space running a route.
You guys have run this concept a good bit, but how early, when you throw this football, do you know that you're going to throw this back shoulder? Or is it just a feel thing?
It's a feel thing, but I kind of took a slow kind of drop to kind of fill it out. And once I felt that, they were kind of locked up to each other, I just knew to just throw it back shoulder.
That is courtesy of the QB Unplugged. You see DeShawn Watson really breaking down that pass. It was a dynamic catch by Amari Cooper as well. It just goes to show you the nuances and in the small minutia of the way the quarterback game is played. And it shows how you really have to be in concert with the 5 men up front, calling out the mic and showing what the protection is. And basically, that is all about identifying and pre-snap what those guys are in. And so you can see that DeShawn is a guy that is really smart when he's talking football, when he's talking about what his thoughts were, his pre-snap reads. And it just goes to show you that he understands a lot of dynamic things that happen. And one of the things that quarterbacks do, the good quarterbacks understand not only what they want to do, but they understand what the defense is trying to do to them, which is going to dictate the chess match and where they want to go. And so you look at that, footwork was good, being able to identify the blitz, knowing the fact that they were blitz bluffing and 39 wasn't coming, they were man-to-man across the board. Things like that just really show the in-depth knowledge of what's going on. And a lot of people will assume that DeShawn Watson is not, he's played terrible every single game. No, there's some bright spots in there where you can see the high level of accuracy. You can see the high level of aptitude that DeShawn Watson has. It's just not consistent because he has not played. And so those are fair criticisms of saying that you want to see more, but to act as if the guy doesn't know what he's doing, it couldn't be even further from the truth. I love the fact that when they go on the blackboard, it shows you the high level that you have to compete at or understand in the classroom to even be able to complete some of these throws and to know where the ball is, to know what you want to do. So, and I can't help but notice that in that formation, you talk about why things work. If you look at it as the defense is looking at that film, best believe that defenses are diagnosing what the Browns are doing there. And they're going to say, look, you had Harrison Bryant and David Bell backside. They don't care about those routes. You got a tight end that's trying to run a real route on that play. And front side, the only person that is respectable is Amari Cooper. So best believe when we say we need to upgrade the wide receiver and the target positions, the reason you're saying that is because you want guys like Jerry Jeudy backside. You want guys that now all of a sudden you could put Elijah Moore in the slot. Now you have to, those guys have to be respected backside. So DeShawn, if nothing is open front side with Amari Cooper, he can automatically pivot, turn, look, and hit the backside because now guess what? You have people back there that you have to respect. And if you got a running back and if you have Chubb back there, now you could do a lot of things, or guys catching the ball out of the backfield. So now it's more of a situation. You want every single time that you come out on that field, you want a group of individuals that the defense has to respect. You got to respect David Njoku, and when he's in the game, he's just not a pass catcher. He can also run block. So you got to be ready for run or pass. That's the great reason coaches want great tight ends, and they want people that can do multiple things. So I can come up, I can run the ball. I can come up, I can run the fade. I can run the back shoulder. I can do the quick 3-step. I can throw the ball out on the screen, and we can run that out of any personnel that we got because our guys can do multiple things. So that's what you want to watch, and I always love watching that. Make sure you go catch out the QB Unplugged. As always, do a great job of breaking it down over there. Subscribe to the channel. With that being said, you better subscribe to our channel. Subscribe right over here, Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. And make sure you want to subscribe to all the rest of our shows as well. Let's take a look at it. Ultimate Guardians. Every single Monday, Adam the Bull, Zach Meisel, the best baseball podcast in the game. You want to check out the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Ultimate Cavaliers. That's every Tuesday. Cavs tonight, big time game 2, the first round of the playoffs against the Orlando Magic. Make sure you're checking out Ultimate Cavaliers. Mikey McNuggets will have a recap for you ready to go. And Ultimate 216, a mix of culture every single Thursday with your boy Earl the Pearl. Good get. He had Mary Kay Cabot at Cleveland.com on. Earl's always bringing it when it comes to culture and sports and mix of it. And you already know what we got over here is the Ultimate Browns every single Monday and every single Friday right here on the UCSS network. With that being said, it's the fastest 30 minutes in all of sports. And you know what it is when we get going, it goes fast. With that being said, make sure you check out, subscribe to the channel. And as always, you don't know where your boy G Bush is going? Just go ahead and look at them. You see it right there. If you want to know you in the barbershop too, you didn't even know it. But you want to know where I'm at? You never know where I'm going to be at. Listen for them Clippers. Good evening. Have a great night. Go Cavs tonight. And ultimately, go Browns.